Good morning, everybody. In the wide open decades after the Civil War, when really big corporations and businesses came into existence, like U.S. Steel, Standard Oil, and so on, a question arose about monopolies. Are they good? Are they bad? Does it depend? Should the government get involved? Etc. And in 1890, Congress passed the Sherman Antitrust Act, and it was on this date, May 15 in 1911, that act was applied against Standard Oil. In the case, Standard Oil of New Jersey against the United States. The first billion-dollar corporation in the United States was U.S. Steel, and it hit that threshold in 1901. So lots of big businesses around that time period, and President Teddy Roosevelt took on some of those monopolies. The old word for that was trust, and his nickname was the trustbuster, and here's a cartoon about that. But were all monopolies bad? So International Harvester was the company founded by Cyrus McCormick, who invented the reaper. And it became a monopoly of farm equipment, but people didn't mind that, partly because its president and its officers were really nice guys. So John D. Rockefeller, pictured here, was born in New York State, ended up moving to the Cleveland area, worked as an accountant for a shipping firm, was really good with math. Everybody could tell he was a whiz with numbers. And one day, a friend said, let's go check out the oil industry in western Pennsylvania. So here's the photograph of Mr. Drake's well in western PA, right on the eve of the Civil War. So by the time we get to 1870s, 1880s, there's a bit of an oil industry in the country. So here's the distance, or the map, between Cleveland on the left and Titusville, Pennsylvania. So John D. Rockefeller went out there with his friend, and they checked it out. One thing led to another. Standard Oil was founded in Cleveland. This is one of his mansions in Cleveland. It's not there anymore. He eventually moved the company to New York City, but for a while it was a Cleveland-based company. And one of its first big products was kerosene. People were looking for better and better ways to light their homes, and kerosene and the Standard Oil kerosene lamp were soon found everywhere. Every continent, in the cities, in remote areas, Standard Oil. But what about gasoline? So when the automobile came out in a big way, here's the Model T from 1908, the rush was on for making gasoline out of petroleum. Here's a great photo of these old cars getting some gas. And Standard, very aggressive. Favorite tactic would be to undercut rivals and then buy them out or just put them out of business. That was legal back then. So Ida Tarbell wrote a book against Standard Oil, and here it is. It was first serialized in a magazine, and this became a book. The generic name we have for these kinds of books are muckraking books. There are other ones too of this type. But her book contributed to our event. So May 15, 1911, the Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil had violated the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890 and needed to be broken up. So that's what happened. And in this chart, you can see on the left some of the offspring of the original Standard. And if you're of a certain age, you might recall driving around the country and seeing all these different versions of Standard Oil. Ironically, today, ExxonMobil is a combination of two of those baby standards. So it's kind of like the old Standard is back together again a little bit. And John D. Rockefeller amassed a massive fortune. Now he had stock in many oil companies, not just one. Here's the mansion he built in Sleepy Hollow, New York. It's open to the public, worth a visit. But this is really worth a visit. If you're ever south of the Finger Lakes in rural New York, track down Rockefeller Road, which is what this is. And if you look carefully, you can find his birthplace. It's an abandoned cellar hole with a beat-up sign. Dorothy and I found this some years ago, and we thought, you'd think they could do better than this. But that's his legacy. in that area.